It doesn't matter what year you are. I'm head of the associates. If I give you an assignment, you do it.
Hey, everybody. This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. Today, the spare was back in the news. Apparently, there was a hearing today where lawyers for Prince Harry asked a judge to rule in favor that a tabloid newspaper libeled the British royal with an article about his quest for police protection. It does appear that Harry's lawyers are using the same tactics Meghan's lawyers used when she was suing A&L, in which Harry's lead attorney asked Judge Matthew Nicklin either to strike out the publisher's defense or to deliver a summary judgment, which would be a ruling in the prince's favor without going to trial. As some of you may recall, Meghan kicked up a storm in trying to get her case not to go to trial after it was discovered that people had came forward with witness statements. Could this be the same situation where Harry doesn't want to be exposed? I mean, it could be a plethora amount of reasons, such as like the cost, expending resources and time. Personally, I think that if you're going to raise a lawsuit and the defense wants to contest it, then they have every right to contest it. And I think that summary judgments are kind of stupid because they're not really giving the opposite side the opportunity to plead their case in front of real people. Also, if you're going to raise a lawsuit like this, then you should be willing and accept that you may end up going to trial. This summary judgment nonsense, I really don't understand. I mean, dismiss the case if you have to, but giving a summary judgment in favor of Harry as a win doesn't really feel like justice is being served. I think it's a good time for us to just take a moment and get up to speed on what has happened, since many of you are now jumping into paying attention to Prince Harry. So back in February 2022, the Mail on Sunday published this article with the title Exclusive: How Prince Harry Tried to Keep His Legal Fight with the Government Over Police Bodyguards a Secret. Then, just minutes after the story broke, his PR machine tried to put a positive spin on the dispute. So this headline is what became the foundation for Harry's libel suit against A&L. What I want to do in this video is go through this with a fresh set of eyes. So let's start from the beginning. Back in January of 2022, Kate Mansi from the Daily Mail was the one to kick all of this off, as she wrote the first piece about Harry suing the government. She had reached out to the Sussex camp for comment. As she says here, the Sussex team did not give any comment. But then several hours later, they issue out this statement, or the legal representative issues out this statement, in which Mitscoby then breaks this and puts up this tweet, noting that it was literally 6 minutes after the Daily Mail broke the story. And that's an important detail to keep in the back of your head. And in this tweet, Omid is very clear to say that Prince Harry has applied for a judicial review of a Home Office decision not to allow him to personally pay for police protection for himself and his family when they are in the UK. Then soon after, all the traditional media outlets that Meghan and Harry use started publishing the same exact story, emphasizing that Harry was dismissed in his request to pay for this security, and he was denied. Even Meghan's friend in Canada, Lainey Gossip, is emphasizing this point. As you can see right here in this paragraph, where she says, which is missing some key details, that he wanted to pay for his own security and was denied the request. So he's seeking a judicial review on that decision. So there it is. There's no misunderstanding that they're all singing the same tune. Fast forward now to February of 2022. Kate Mansi once again follows up and writes this article in which now is the subject of the libel for this case. So let me read this article so you understand what was said in its contents. Dated February 19, 2022. Prince Harry tried to keep details of his legal battle to reinstate his police protection secret from the public, the Mail on Sunday can reveal. High court documents show he sought a far-reaching confidentiality order on documents and witness statements surrounding his case and the government. But the Home Office argued for transparency, saying there must be a sufficiently good reason in the wider public interest to justify the departure from open justice that such an order involves. Both sides then agreed that some papers would be made public, with the Home Office agreeing to carry out a confidentiality exercise to determine what would be kept secret, even though it caused an unprecedented expenditure of time and resources. When the Mail on Sunday last month revealed that Harry was suing the government, his spin doctors swung into action, briefing journalists that Harry was being denied the right to pay for bodyguards. It led to inaccurate reports across the media, such as the BBC headline, "Prince Harry in legal fight to pay for UK police protection." As documents lodged at the High Court last week show, no such offer to pay was made in the prince's initial pre-action letters to the Home Office, suggesting he expected British taxpayers to cover it. So I'm going to pause here. Key important thing from this paragraph is that after the article was written and the world found out that Harry was suing the government and he offered to pay, but he was denied, this reporter is stating that she saw documents that dictated otherwise, that were public, that shouldn't have been public, or that Harry didn't want to be made public. So Kate Mansi continues and says, "The revelations are a crushing rebuttal to Harry's initial public statement that implied he had always been willing to foot the bill. Nor did he offer to pay when he visited the UK last June to unveil a statue to his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales." Home Office lawyers state that it was only in later correspondence that the offer was made. That led to fury last night that aides acting for Harry sought to confuse the mainstream media's response to the story. Ironic, given the prince now has a role with a Silicon Valley firm tackling misinformation online. As royal author David McClure tweeted, "Once more, confusion about the accuracy of messages coming out of the Sussex camp. First, Harry offers to pay, then, when he visits the UK, he does not." The Duke launched his claim in September, more than 18 months after the government's Royal and VIP Executive Committee decided he would be stripped of his full state-funded security. According to the court papers, they reveal that Harry still maintains, now get this, guys, exceptional status, which means he could be afforded protection depending on the nature of his visits, assessed on a case-by-case basis. Harry argues that while his role within the institution has changed, his profile as a member of the royal family has not, nor has the threat to him and his family. Yet his initial bid to get the decision overturned did not mention he would pay anything. Okay, this is court papers saying the offer to pay is now advanced in the claimant's witness statement, but notably was not advanced to that committee, RAVAC, in June of 2021, or in any of the pre-action correspondence which followed. Unfortunately, documents to this case has been sealed, so I do not have access to see if what the journalist that's writing this piece is saying is actually true. So I'm going to have to take her word for it, because those statements can be easily backed up in the reference that she made within the court case. Now, if it was otherwise, then I'm sure Harry would have pointed that out, but he hasn't. So I think that's the key thing that we have to keep in the front of our minds, was that he never offered to pay for it in the beginning. And I guess after everything started to collapse and he's realizing how expensive security is, all of a sudden now the narrative has shifted in order to manipulate the situation, which we all know is not the first time that Harry and Meghan have done this. In fact, their whole entire platform is manipulation. Let me finish this article because Mansi makes some really great points. She continues on to say, it adds that Harry's recent offer to pay is nevertheless irrelevant because personal protective security by the police is not available on a privately financed basis, and RAVAC does not make decisions on the basis that any financial contribution could be sought or obtain to pay for it. When the Mail on Sunday first broke the story, lawyers and PR advisors acting for the Sussexes sought to put their own gloss on it. Just 6 minutes after the Mail on Sunday's world exclusive, the Press Association, apparently having been given an advance briefing by Harry's camp, reported that the Duke had offered to pay personally for UK police protection and quoted his lawyer saying he remains willing to cover the cost of security. Omid Scobie, a journalist known to be supportive of the Sussexes, also appeared to have been briefed by Harry's team. 5 hours after this newspaper told the prince's aides we were planning a story, Scobie told his 76,000 Twitter followers Prince Harry has applied for judicial review of a Home Office decision not to allow him to personally pay for police protection for himself and his family when they are in the UK. A legal representative for the Sussexes confirmed. And now you guys have seen that tweet. As a result of this article being published, 3 days later, Harry decides to sue for libel, stating the Mail on Sunday had caused serious damage to his reputation and substantial hurt, embarrassment, and distress, which is continuing. Hold on a second. Didn't he just go on a book tour toting about how he didn't care about what people were saying about him? We could talk about him all we wanted because it doesn't affect him?
Then I'm going to try and make a difference. And it may be incredibly hard, and I don't know how long it's going to take. But it is 100% worth it, because again, it goes back to what I said before, which is I'm happy with them talking crap about me every single day because I know it's not true.
I think the Daily Mail needs to remember this, and other places where he has said the same exact thing, that it doesn't bother him because he knows what's true. And to me, it's my opinion, but I think Harry was mad that he got called out. Okay, so now that you know the background to this story, we come full circle today. They were trying to settle out of court, but they couldn't reach an agreement. So this hearing was to convince the judge to issue a summary judgment, arguing that the story that was written suggested that he had lied and had improperly and cynically tried to manipulate and confuse public opinion. But now going back to what Harry said earlier, why does he care about what the public thinks of him? You know what I'm saying? If he knows that it's not true, then why does it bother him so much? Oh, because it could influence you getting this security that the people are going to have to pay for, which you already know that you cannot purchase these Met police at your disposal? Forgive me, I'm going to go off now on just a little rant. So here's what I don't understand. Putting this defamation case aside, why is the UK entertaining this fool in listening to whether or not he should get security? He already knows it's not something that he can pay out of pocket. So this excuse to me is kind of lame. Why is the government entertaining or considering evaluating his case when he left the firm? He doesn't work for the family anymore. And right now he's making all kinds of money so he can pay for his own security. What I don't like in all of this is the sneaky, manipulative, underhanded way that he's going about it. Yes, do I believe what the paper said about them lying about it? Yes, I do. Nowhere prior to this case being launched did he ever mention that he offered to pay for the security. In the Oprah interview, you would think that that would have been a great time to say, hey, look, this is a security risk that I inherited. I offered to pay for it. Now we have this, deal with Netflix and Spotify. We have more than enough money. We can do it. But no, he didn't. Up until he launched it, now all of a sudden, we're seeing him talk about it. And it's almost like they are backtracking and backing into their story. And if you notice now, all the projects after that were released after him filing and this became public now mention that he offered. Remember those 5 options that he talked about in Spare, which was a lie? There weren't 5 options. He has to put it in there that he offered to pay just because now this is part of the narrative that they're spinning. So the Telegraph is reporting today that in this case and in the court documents that the Duke of Sussex argued that he and his wife, Meghan, could not afford to pay for their own security until they could earn his own money, court documents have revealed. Prince Harry sent an email to Sir Edward Young, the late Queen's private secretary, in April 2020, in which he says he made it clear we couldn't afford private security until we were able to earn. Well, that's all fine and dandy if it wasn't a lie. Who could forget that shitflix mockumentary of 6 hours worth of them chronicling and documenting their fleeing from the palace? They obviously did have their sights on their earning potential as they left the palace. So this, in my opinion, that they couldn't afford their security when they left. Harry walked out the door with $30 million in trust fund money. Too effing bad if you didn't want to touch it and leaving it for the invisible children. You had money and you also had deals lined up to reap benefits. So you can't really say that you didn't have or you couldn't afford to pay for your own security. Now, we all know that that is a lie. The newspaper group is right to contest it on the claim that the article expressed an honest opinion. And it also argues that it didn't cause Harry any serious harm to his reputation. We all have seen how Harry has harmed his own reputation on his own. This, I think, was nothing compared to what he has been doing. Yeah, they called him out for lying. How many more times has Harry lied? How many other times has he tried to manipulate and deceive the public? I'm going to keep playing this clip from Dax Shepard because Harry knows exactly what he is doing.
But you can find a loophole in anything, and you can capitalize or exploit what's not said rather than uphold what is said.
Oh, sure.
We can do that with anything we want. Of course we can.
Yes,
And if it's a commercial incentive, then great.
Do I think it's a coincidence in timing that Harry and Meghan decide to throw out the prince and princess in their house? Now they have 3 royal members that are in the line of succession. No, they're getting ready for their case with the Home Office in order to get this security back so they can be deemed internationally protected people in which the United States will have to front the bill for their security. This is so deceptive and so manipulative that I just don't understand why more people don't see what is going on or pay attention to what's going on, because it is going to affect everyone. Honestly, does anybody think that they're going to accept on a case-by-case basis if they go to the UK and the court does grant them this security? No, because they were already getting that offer in the first place if they were ever going back to London for any type of official event. And honestly, do you really think if Harry was really serious about bringing those children over so they could spend time with the family, do you think that King Charles, Prince William, Catherine, Camilla, all of them would say, no, you're not getting security coverage? Come on. Of course they would have security coverage. Look, I know everybody is sick of seeing this man's face every day, but we need to care. We need to pay attention to this, because if this case does go down the path of the UK caving and saying, okay, we will grant you your status back again, then that opens the door for them to take more, because you know that that's what they want. They just want to get their foot in the door for them to just sort of weasel their way into saying, well, now we need coverage in the United States because we're not safe. You know, this is we're global figures, the work we're doing. You're going to see once they take an inch, they're going to want that mile. You got to look at it from this perspective. How often have they been going back to the UK unless it's like some major event? Never. They never go back. So why go through all this trouble just to have coverage whenever they choose to go over to the UK, which is never. It doesn't even seem worth it. Like, on a case-by-case basis makes more sense because it's not like they're going every other week. You heard what Harry just said. It's what is not said is what can be exploited. So I think it's important that we say that Harry is looking to get his IPP status back in order to get the United States to pay for his security. Now, he may be saying that he just wants coverage in the UK and that he's willing to pay it out of his pocket, knowing full well that that's not how it works. He wants to be classified back into the same category. And, they may position and say, well, how much is it really going to cost the UK if they're living in America? Obviously, under the Geneva Convention, which Meghan, I'm sure, knows like the back of her hand and what she will be entitled to with immunity, we would have to, in the United States, pay for it if this family now becomes classified under Scotland Yard and they're actively monitoring it. That means resources here in the United States is going to have to pay, and America is going to have a fit if this happens, and all of a sudden now we're stuck with this bill. So my suggestion is we need to write to the UK diplomat here in the United States, they're located in New York, write to them and tell them that America is watching this closely and already angry that we have a foreign prince on U.S. soil meddling within our politics and government. If we have to pay for his security, that's going to be a bigger problem. The UK diplomat needs to know that this is hurting the US and UK relationship. And that message needs to be relayed to Rishi Sunak, who, when he has his one-on-one with the king, he can tell the king that he needs to yank his son out of here. Here's the information to the British consulate here in New York City. Please, guys, contact them. Ask them who you could write to put in the situation that we have going on here. I think this is a route that we need to explore and try. But anyhow, what do you guys think? Leave your comments below. As always, I will be back soon with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
I was such a fraud.